Coronavirus cases in Maryland. 774 people have tested positive. 5 people have died from the virus. The newest patient, a Maryland National Guard soldier who is in isolation. About 20 soldiers from that soldier's unit are quarantined as a precaution. Rachel Menitoff has the latest developments.
The Maryland Department of Health now reporting the state's 5th death as a result of COVID-19. A man in his 80s from Anne Arundel County is the latest person to succumb to the virus. The White House approved emergency relief funding for the state. On Friday, Governor Hogan told WTOP Radio the additional supplies are critical at a time like this.
FEMA has delivered supplies of some of the requests to nearly every state, but it is certainly still a major issue.
First responders and medical personnel are at high risk of contracting the contagious disease because they're fighting the pandemic on the front lines. Friday night, officials confirmed a member of the Maryland Army National Guard tested positive. Just hours earlier, Baltimore County announced a Baltimore police officer and member of the fire department contracted the virus. 3 Baltimore City first responders have also tested positive. Maryland now has 774 confirmed cases. Over the last 3 days, the number has more than doubled. State Senator Clarence Lamb, who is also a physician at Johns Hopkins, says these next few weeks are crucial in combating COVID-19's spread.
If we're able to get ahead of this, we can hopefully avoid some of the significant damage that we've seen occur in other countries.
Meanwhile, the health department says it will be another week before we know whether or not our efforts to quarantine and self-isolate are truly bending the curve.
That slow rise that we're seeing, even though it seems fast, is the way in which we will keep our healthcare system from being totally overwhelmed by the number of seriously ill people that might be expected.
The highest numbers of COVID-19 are in Montgomery and Prince George's counties, followed by Baltimore County and the city. Health officials say this isn't surprising since these areas are population clusters. Reporting in downtown Baltimore, I'm Rachel Menitoff for WJZ.
Well, a first-of-its-kind screening facility will open Monday in FedEx Field's parking lot. The National Guard has been setting this up. Now, you need an appointment to get tested. If you have symptoms and think you need a test, call the Prince George's County Health Department for an initial telehealth screening. President Trump is invoking the Defense Production Act to require General Motors to produce more ventilators to deal with the increased hospitalizations due to the spread of the coronavirus. He signed a massive stimulus bill into law that could put cash in Americans' pockets as soon as next week. Confirmed cases of the coronavirus now top 100,000 in the U.S. More than 1,700 people have died. Skylar Henry is on Capitol Hill with the latest for WJZ.
I've never signed anything with a T on it.
President Trump signed the $2 trillion coronavirus relief bill into law, making way for the biggest financial stimulus plan in modern U.S. history. The CARES Act gives up to $1,200 directly to most working Americans, expands unemployment insurance, provides hundreds of billions of dollars to businesses, and delivers immediate financial relief to hospitals.
The American people deserve a government-wide, visionary, evidence-based response to address these threats to their lives and their livelihood.
This is a 9/11 moment, a time to put partisan differences aside, policy goals aside, and work together as Americans.
President Trump used the Defense Production Act to compel General Motors to make ventilators after days of talks he called wasting time.
We will not hesitate to use the full authority of the federal government.
The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in the U.S. has now passed through the 100,000 mark, more than any country. In Los Angeles, the floating naval hospital Mercy arrived with 1,000 hospital beds. At this New York City funeral home, just blocks from a hospital where more than a dozen coronavirus patients have died, saying goodbye becomes even more difficult.
They also are afraid of contracting the COVID and bringing it home, so they end up just having a closed casket.
In Chicago, another predicted hotspot. Michael Bain is hospitalized with the coronavirus.
I was moved to the ICU last night.
When he awoke this morning, he said the number of patients on his floor had doubled. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
When it comes to coronavirus testing, Governor Hogan says the state drive-through emissions testing stations are close to being ready to use. In an interview with WTOP Radio, the governor says the staff and equipment is ready to go, but the state is still waiting for all the tests. He says he wants to make sure there aren't any backups. With many daycare centers now closed, parents and providers are left wondering when they'll be back up and running. Paul Gessler spoke with them as they try to sort out which locations will remain open.
You can find signs like this in just about every child care facility these days. COVID-19 has dominated the industry like it has many others, and many daycares will be forced to close.
If I hadn't talked with you, I wouldn't even known there was a waiver.
Erlene Rowe has been running her daycare for 20 years. She may be forced to shut down, not able to even find a waiver proving she cares for children of essential personnel.
So I want to know, what do I do? Where do I go from here? But you can't. How you gonna find out when nobody answers the phone?
We called the numbers on the state's website too.
I'm currently away from my desk.
But number after number ended in a dead end.
State offices are closed to the public.
The state's Department of Education says they're aware of the problems.
The number you are trying to reach is out of service.
They cite the volume overwhelming the system and instead pointed us to their website, but we couldn't find a waiver application there either. The director of Sandbridge Early Learning Center says they originally did not get a waiver.
So I didn't sleep much last night because I was like, I have to email this person and that person. I did send several emails. I can be annoying with emails.
They say they got word late. They can now stay open.
What are we going to do? Are you guys going to be open? Do we have to find alternate care? So this will be definitely a load, off of their shoulders.
It's just literally been all over the place because you don't know what to expect.
For Erlene, her parents have been facing the same kind of uncertainty, but she plans to be there regardless of what she hears from the state.
I'm gonna do it. I'll be here Monday for them, because if I don't, where they gonna go?
Now, Erlene called me late Friday afternoon. She says someone finally emailed her that application. She filled it out and is awaiting word. The state also set up its own child care programs reserved for children of healthcare workers and first responders. I'm Paul Gessler for WJZ.
The city of Baltimore is now staffing its free grab-and-go meal sites with young people enrolled in the mayor's Squeegee Alternative Plan. So far this week, Squeegee Kids had served more than 7,000 meals at 8 different pickup locations. At the end of the week, all the participants will walk away with $250.
And we want them to get into something that could really have them very productive. They have proven they have entrepreneur skills because of what they're doing, but we want them to change that energy into something more productive.
Anyone who would like to learn more information about this program can go to BeMoreChildren.com. Well, T. Rowe Price has donated more than 130,000 masks to several hospitals across the country, including Johns Hopkins and the University of Maryland Medical Center. We've been telling you about the dire supply shortage hospitals are facing. The company says it wants to show support for healthcare workers on the front lines of this pandemic. Hopkins and UMMC were given 50,000 masks each. Of course, you can stay with WJZ as we follow the coronavirus pandemic. You can also find out everything you need to know right now on WJZ.com.